1, 2.
No. Leave me Spickley. Yeah, that should do it, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, of course. It's a bit too high now, I think. Anyway, hello, can you hear me? I have to stand tippy-toe. Okay, you're very welcome to the launch of Crannóg number 62. We have a big crowd and a big list of readers for you. We have 22 in all. I think we have 6 fiction writers and the remainder, who'll do the maths, 17 poets, I think. Yeah. That's nearly half the magazine are here tonight, which is a great thing. We're dedicating this issue to the memory of Maeve Joyce-Crehan of the Crane Bar here. Maeve. Maeve passed away in January, the 16th of January, after a fairly long illness, I think. And we just want to remember her with this issue because she was always most hospitable and generous as a host to us for each launch, as was Mick as well. Especially if we were celebrating a milestone, like we'll say a 30th or a 40th or a 50th issue. She would put on some food on the tables and Mick would open a bottle of champagne and it would be a real celebration. So we're glad to be able to remember her with this issue. And apart from all that, she was a lovely person and lovely personality and a most positive person. Even being in her company for a few minutes, you would come away in a better mood than you had started. She was always so positive and so full of good humour, always. And as an example of that humour, Mick is going to, first of all, say a few words, and then he's going to play I haven't heard it now, he's going to play a recording, is it, of an interview that Maeve did with Keith Finnegan in Galway Bay FM some time ago. And I think it was about losing her hair, was it? Yeah, and I think it's quite humorous. So you'll get a flavour of the kind of person that she was, I'm sure. So I'm going to hand you over to Mick to say a few words, and he's going to play that interview. So, Mick Crehan.
Well, I suppose just first off, I'd like to thank Tony and Gerald and, of course, my dear friend Sandra, far away in Canada, and all the people associated with Crannóg for dedicating this edition of Crannóg to the memory of Maeve. It's a really kind and wonderful gesture, and I really appreciate it. We have a long association with Crannóg here. We were trying to work it out earlier on, but I think Crannóg have been launching books here for 22 years. And Maeve used to really enjoy those occasions. When she'd lock the door in the chamber on Friday evening, there was nothing better than to come down here and chill out, have a few pints of Carlsberg and listen to the literary delights that were always associated with Crannóg. So she really enjoyed them. Maeve was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2018, and she faced it with fortitude and courage and a great determination to live life to the fullest that she possibly could in the time that was granted to her. She also approached it with a lot of humour, as you're about to hear. So I'm playing a recording of a piece that Maeve wrote. It's a history of her hair. This was written in July 22, so she was 4 years down the road. receiving cancer treatment. And it was originally broadcast on Galway Bay FM on the Keith Finnegan show. And currently it's on, amongst other things that Maeve did, on the Cancer Care West website. And it's there, I suppose, just to give people who are going through a similar thing a bit of encouragement. So, God willing, that the technology works. Just bear with me 1 minute while we do this. But the piece is called Here Today by Maeve Joyce.
Here today. When I was young, I was often described as a fine girl, which is a description that other girls growing up in rural Ireland in the 60s would be familiar with. Meant as a compliment, it was received as anything but. It was vaguely bovine in nature, and hardly at all tolerated in today's woke world. As well as being a fine girl, I was also complimented about my fine head of hair. It was brown and thick and treated to a vigorous wash with Loxine in the sink every Friday. You'd smell the shampoo from up the street on the way home from school, and it inspired dread. Later, in an all-female convent boarding school, hair was a popular topic of conversation in a small world where such things took on a disproportionate significance. In that gadget-free world, the hairdryer was as high-tech as it got, and following the big hair trend of the time, blow-drying one's tresses with one's head upside down achieved the result, coupled with headaches, nosebleeds, heightened blood pressure, and the distinct possibility of fainting. All worth it on the receipt of little notes or whispers in the study hall saying how fab one looked. Once released into the real world, any hair-related constraints were lifted. Cuts, colours, perms and henna battled the brown and won. I was not afraid to jump right into this brave new world and had my first perm the summer I left school. Still brown at this stage, it resembled the modern cockapoo, a spiny, frizzy, semi-curly mass, low to the eyes and wide to the head. Thus I began university, cool quotient high and raring to go. It only took a few months to discover grandad shirts, patchouli and henna. The latter was right up there with Chaucer, but smelled a whole lot worse. It was applied over the bath, again with the head upside down, the interruption of blood flow possibly related to pretty poor academic results later in the year. Then the henna-covered head was wrapped in tinfoil and left for an arbitrary length of time. Instructions were mostly word of mouth and frankly sparse. The resulting red-headed tribe was brave and confident and a bit wild-looking. The newly found confidence was evidenced in the hair. Transition from henna to chemicals mirrored other rites of passage, and the brown became blonde. Blonde was definitely fun, and I loved the era of the new romantics, lace, ruffles, eyeliner, androgyny. There were many things I couldn't change about my life at that time, and often didn't have the courage to. But hair was my canvas, and while I wasn't always successful, I was always the artist. Attracted to the look of the blonde waif, albeit in the guise of a fine girl, creativity was allowed, encouraged, and applauded. Finally, an adult, life speeded up, a countrywide transcontinental blur, full of experiences far removed from the earlier boundaries. The hair, however, remained a constant, moving from the DIY to Peter Marks, and finally, day of days, to Vidal Sassoon in San Francisco, not Vidal himself, obviously. A minion invited me to change in a little room while handing me a gown, which caused me no end of anxiety, what to take off, what to put on, how to emerge. The cost of the minion was eye-watering and worth every cent. I was beautiful, I was adulting, and I was proud. In the intervening decades, a career was forged, love was found and lost and found, and the wonderful next generation was born with magnificent red hair. Madonna became an influence, and Annie Lennox and Debbie Harry. Hair was ironed sideways on the ironing board, and the GHD was invented. Good hair day without the burn. Blonde highlights became the do of choice. chemicals prepared by qualified hairdressers, tones of caramel and coffee and honey and butterscotch, applied painstakingly in a marathon, which could take, for a fine head of hair, up to 4 hours. The numb bum was a small price to pay for the shimmering aura of Bondi or Waikiki. The mirror was my friend. And then, in a world of Facebook, Insta, selfies, and every other possible photographic permutation, the consultant told me I had cancer. Not just a little bit, a lot. A tough diagnosis. Will I lose my hair? Every fibre in my body wanted to ask, but it seemed, well, unseemly. How could one ask such a frivolous question? Did it matter whether or not I would lose my hair, become bald? Early era Sinead O'Connor, who in fairness was both bald and waif-like and deeply cool, would it not be more a fine girl type baldness without the sculpted cheekbones and the lush eyelashes? Because of course they would go too, and the eyebrows. I didn't ask him about the hair loss. After all, he's trying to save lives, not increase likes on Facebook. For the past 3 years of chemo, I've held on to my fine head of hair until a few weeks ago, when it began to get thin, to fall out. Each morning the pillow bears testament to my loss. The dog who sheds all over the house and its inhabitants cannot this time be blamed. I have a number for the wig woman. I have been perfecting various types of pirate scarf tying, and I have purchased hats suitable for garden parties, G7 summits and bank robbing. I am putting a brave, hair-free face on it, but I am in mourning. That sassy blonde is, I hope, just on hold.
Thanks, John.
I just lowered this a little bit. Okay, Mick, thank you for that. Thank you for those few words, and thank you for playing that piece of Maeve's. Marvellous humour and juxtaposed with the whole tragedy as well. I was struck by when she said that one word, cancer, how it stopped everyone in their tracks. It went from humour to pathos, just on the cusp of one word. Amazing piece. And as we say in the magazine, Suvna Shiri Di. So we'll carry on with the readings, and our first reader is Moya Roddy. And Moya is the author of 2 collections of stories. One is called Other People, published by Words in the Street, and the other is Fire in My Head. Her stories have been published in Crannóg previously by Penguin, Michael Joseph, Serpent's Tail, the Irish Times, Quiddity, and many other places. She has also published 2 novels, The Long Way Home, published by Attic Press, and A Wiser Girl, published by Words in the Street. And she has 2 poetry collections. One is called Out of the Ordinary, published by Salmon, and the other is called The Dark Art of Darning by Salmon Poetry as well. So would you welcome to read from her story, please, Moya Roddy.
I don't know, I'm hopeless with microphones. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tony, and I want to thank all involved with Crannóg and Words in the Street for all the effort and work they do put into Crannóg and to the publications they do. Being here tonight, especially having just listened to Maeve's voice, is very touching. This place also has very memories for me, as Mick knows, because my brother Larry Roddy used to run sessions here before he too died some time ago from former cancer. Anyway, but one of the things I just thought, listening to the thing, was she was talking about being a fine thing. And it brought back a real memory to me years ago when I was young. And I went up to a neighbour's house in the country, and I was wearing my latest dress and my hair and everything, and thinking I was looking at my sandals, thinking I was looking gorgeous. And the mother of the woman was there, and she looked me up and down, and she said after a few minutes, "Well, hasn't she a fine pair of fat feet?" I can tell you that brought me down to size. Anyway, I'm just going to read a couple of pages of this, or page and a half of this. It's called The Beard, and it's not a who done it, it's kind of like a how done it or why done it. Okay. A body tumbled, spiring helplessly down a deep black hole. Paul Sinclair jerked awake. It wasn't the sensation of falling that had awoken him, but the look on the face of the person falling, someone he recognized as himself. There was something so bald in the expression, so exposed, it appalled him. In an effort to shake off the feeling, he yawned, raising his hands to rub sleep from his eyes. As he did so, he became aware, in a slow, sickening way, of something soft and hairy touching his palms. He screamed. Paul stared into the mirror. What he was seeing was impossible, yet there it was. The lower half of his face covered in a soft black beard. He gave it a tug, expecting it to come away in his hand. When it didn't, he told himself it had to be a trick. But how? Who? He lived alone, had spent the previous evening working in his study, then gone to bed. He tugged again, but no matter how hard he pulled, the thing refused to budge, the skin underneath reddening, making him wince. He took a deep breath. There had to be an explanation. Beards don't suddenly appear. He shoved his face closer. He'd always been clean-shaven, disliked beards, although he had to admit this was a particularly fine one, well cared for, groomed. He pressed his nose to the glass. Could he be experiencing some sort of amnesia? Was the reflection in the mirror his? Of course it was. He'd know his eyes anywhere, and his hair. A photograph. Why hadn't he thought of that sooner? Impatiently, Paul went from room to room, pulling open drawers, although he realised almost immediately it was going to prove a waste of time. There weren't any recent photos. He'd got rid of the few there were, tore them up in a fit of rage when things soured between him and Jean, deleted the one she'd sent to his phone. At the thought of his phone, another fear began to plague him. What if his voice sounded different? To be on the safe side, he turned off his mobile, and for a moment he felt almost naked. Nonsense, he exclaimed out loud, returning to the idea of amnesia. He knew who he was. He was Paul Sinclair, CEO of Emerald Holdings, their offices. Quickly, Paul scribbled his personal details on a piece of paper and hurried to his study. Picking up a business card, the firm's logo clear as daylight, his name, position, and mobile number exactly as he'd jotted them down. He slumped in a chair, bewildered. Perhaps he'd been working too hard. It had been a source of friction between him and Jean, he had to admit. She complaining he'd no time for her, or rather, didn't make time. A loud ringing invaded his ears. I'm losing it, he thought, before realising it was the landline on his desk that was making the racket. He hadn't heard it for so long, he'd forgotten what it sounded like. Who on earth could be calling him? Nobody used landlines anymore. He only kept his out of sentimentality. The ringing stopped, then started up again almost immediately. Hesitating, he picked it up. He could always plead a sore throat. Paul, is that you? Your mobile was off. I was worried. It was Alex, his secretary, no doubting her voice. Paul grunted in response, afraid to trust what would come out. Miley emailed. He's coming at 3:15. The person she was referring to was George Miley of GM Construction, the company on the other end of the proposed acquisition. That's what he'd been working on last night, all year in fact. He was going to shaft Miley, and he wasn't looking forward to it. Realising Alex was expecting a response, he mumbled something incoherently. Are you all right? You sound... Sweat broke out on Paul's forehead. He took a deep breath. I'm fine, a bit of a throat. Is he coming alone? He is. His nephew's been held up in Dubai. That's one, I mean, thank you. See you shortly. As the line went dead, his secretary's words reverberated round his head. See you shortly. Instinctively, his fingers went to his chin. Feeling the thick, silky hair, he let out a groan. Should I stop there? Or I'll go there. Is that okay? Thank you all.
Thank you, Maeve. Thanks for that. Could I just ask, we have 6 fiction readers. Could I just ask the fiction readers to read about half their stories? Because we have a total of 22 readers in all. But our next reader is a poet, and she is Tracy Gahan. And Tracy's chapbook is called What It Costs. And that was published by Southward Editions in Cork. Her poetry is featured widely in magazines and anthologies, and her short story collection is called Weather Readings, and that's published by Belclare Press. So to read her poem, would you welcome, please, Tracy Gahan.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Tony, and thanks. Congratulations, Crannóg, on another great issue. And thank you for publishing this poem about Lafcadio Hearn. He introduced Japanese culture and literature to the West about 130 years ago. And he married a very clever lady, Koizumi Setsuko, and she was a storyteller. And together they were like their own little folklore commission, and they preserved the rich mythology of Japan and published their stories in a book called Koidan in 1904. So it kind of took Lafcadio from being a penniless orphan to a Japanese cultural icon. And this is reminiscences from Setsuko. I'm really bad at mics as well. Anyway, it's Lafcadio's wife.
Just trying to adjust a little bit. Or height. Over that.
Is that better? Okay. In Japan, fathers are trees, mothers snow. A narrow road is never gone alone. This morning, trees can see their souls in the lake. Fathers meet their sons in the shadowed mass, a discoloured iris. I remember how myopia brought you closer to Kokoro, the heart of all that matters. Your pocket telescope for the silk crop on our distant winding hill, a magnifying glass for the woodcuts and camellias, vestigial. Lafcadio, my little no-one son, and forebear of yourself, your spirit rests like mist on the water. And the moon I know is you, is a fish caught in golden bulrush. I loosen a memory caked in coarse salt and grilled over the fire in the cherry garden. The hot meat burns Kazuo's fingers, and you kiss them cool as shade. A wood duck takes my arrows of love across the silent pond, and when a zephyr whips the beech leaves up like monarchs awake at last, I feel you in the air. No one son, how you ached to understand the Yoridaki's motives, why the young women playing shamisen sang in their sleep the flowers of Ido, why the cuckoo tempted a poet in Kyoto, how I wove your tender sail. A storyteller of moonlight and rain, you took with you your travelling diary, and by a force of karma glimpsed the core of my country, sensed its essence, kept it safe as a stone inside the peach of your mind. No one son, father of history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Our next reader is Elizabeth Gibson. Elizabeth's poems have appeared in Abridged, in Banshee, Butcher's Dog, 14 Poems, The Honest Ulsterman, Howl, Lighthouse, Magma, The Storms, and Under the Radar. Her debut collection is called A Love, the Weight of an Animal, and that will be published by Confingo in 2025. So, would you welcome, please, to read her poem, Elizabeth Gibson.
It's so lovely to be here. I live in Manchester, but my parents met at the University of Galway. They were living in Salt Hill, so that's kind of my origin story. So Galway is really special to me, and it feels really lovely to be here and to be sharing my poetry. And this poem is about trying to connect to my Irish heritage by learning to play the tin whistle. In Manchester, where lucky we have an Irish Heritage Centre where we have music lessons and language lessons and stuff like that. So I've been learning their whistle. You see, Tim Whistle, I've been having feelings about you. Blue, silver, sky, notes. They say that my soul as instrument, poems are done to death. But you are not my soul, are you? You're at least my fourth instrument. I'm hardly fluent. But I know your mechanics more naturally than the key things, drum things, string things that are me. Large-bodied, led by hands, using my voice place is a new country. I go from horse to barn owl, peering into the life of the flute, oboe, clarinet people that I never was at school. They had such pretty names. Is it a coincidence that I found you, the year I grew taller and stiller through a cormorant, found faith in turquoise note of kingfisher, cascading over river. My arm was cut open after my palm went numb, my two little fingers. I can spare exactly 2 fingers on a whistle, leaving 6 to dance across the halls. Tease out the bird call I heard at the quarry, never placed. I trust myself now to store it forever in my fingers, though it doesn't seem to exist. Maybe I heard myself calling back through time to the person terrified of impending surgery. Maybe Mam heard me 50 years ago in her father and brother, non-stop whistling filling the house. Dawning of the day, she asks, and hey, whistle, we manage. I never thought I could be this.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Our next poet is Bern Butler. Bern's poetry has been published in Ropes, Northwest Words, Abridged, the Ireland Share of Poetry, Dodging the Rain, Ink, Sweat and Tears, The Madrigal, Sky 47, The High Window, and in Ragara. She was a featured reader at Court's New Writing Showcase in 2021, and she has an MA in Writing from NUIG. So would you welcome Bern Butler?
Hi, thank you, Chair, and thanks to the editors for including my poem. It's a real honour, particularly because I grew up not that far away from here. My poem couldn't be more at odds with the weather, actually. It's called On Cold Nights. So it might transport you back to sometime November or December-ish, that type of weather. Okay. On cold nights our mother pinioned us with blankets, scratchy, close woven, yellowed with dreams. Secure them with pins like you'd see on a kilt. Could have pushed us from shore in the cot, and we would not have fallen out, even if we wrestled in the night. Our bodies were cobs, roots, soft limbs entwined below the low-roofed set. In sleep, our senses commingled, smells. The arm flung across my face was a sail, shutter come loose in the wind, branch tapping the window in the book I was reading, woman weeping in the attic. When I woke, my sister's hair splayed across the pillow was the blue-black wing of a raven. She was older, soon off on her travels, and though we woke on the other side of night to the same bright yellow room, no small thing was shifting.
Thanks, Byrne. Our next poet is Patrick Deely. Patrick is a poet, a memoirist, and he's also a children's writer. And his 10th collection of poetry was published by Daedalus in 2024, and it's called Keepsake. So would you welcome, please, Patrick Deely.
Just 82 words in this poem. I'm from Mulla, outside Lochray, the quiet part of County Galway, except for the hurling, the blackcoat Camalias, as I was saying there to Cormac, when we invade the pitch. You know, we've made the headlines a few times over the last 10 years. Not on the hurling pitch, but what happens off it. Anyway, a darling waste of time. The trees, said by a different clock to the one I attend, bring me round. Their words to each other happen slowly as the mycelial webworks pass between them. I listen, hear nothing, but this is my darling waste of time. Paths, paw prints, ramshackle rose bushes trembling along the quarry lane, a tiny flower sprouting out of the shell of an old lawnmower, and here, a beetle in a rain barrel running rings, the glint of sand becoming an ant, sun quickened. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Our next reader is Elizabeth Barton, and Elizabeth's debut poetry pamphlet is called If Grief Were a Bird, and that was published by Agenda Editions in 2022. She was a prize winner for the Shelley Memorial Poetry Competition in 2023 and was highly commended in the Ver Poets Open Competition in 2024. Her poetry has been published in journals such as Agenda, Acumen, Dyslexia, The High Window, and in the podcast Poetry Worth Hearing. She is a stanza rep for Mole Valley Poets and editor of their anthology. Would you welcome, please, Elizabeth Barton.
Thank you, Tony, and everyone at Crannóg. I'm going to read a poem about Lindo Man, who is England's best preserved bog body. I saw him in the British Museum and I was moved by the fact that he was so young when he died. There's a fascinating book about him by Anne Ross and Don Robbins. And their theory is that Lindo Man was a druid from Ireland who was sacrificed in Celtic Britain's darkest year, AD 60, when the Romans destroyed Anglesey, the druid stronghold, and defeated Boudica. On Lindo Moss. They came for us on the 6th night of the moon. No fires blazed on the hilltops as they rounded us up, led us to a forest clearing. When we drew lots, I knew the charred piece of barley cake would fall to me. I was the youngest, fresh from Druid school, mysteries dancing on my tongue. As I knelt down, not yet ready for the thunder blows, the priests chanting over me, I pictured my dead father, felt his embrace as the axe split my skull. I slumped to earth, but they killed me again and again. They drained me of lifeblood, carried me through whispering pines to the place of rushes and dark water. The birch leaves shivered as they laid me face down in the pool. The mire nestled me in moss, cradled me in her womb of peat. For centuries, I've been resting here, but if my body should rise from the bog and you see my bones restored to oak, my skin to lichen, may my wounds be a whistle warning you that the iron wheel keeps on turning, that in times of terror, you'll rush to sacrifice your young, your wise, over and over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Our next reader is Anya Rose Connell. Anya has received bursaries from the Arts Council, artsandhealth.ie, and from Creative Ireland. Her writing has been listed in the Sean Dunn Poetry Competition in 2024 and the Cheltenham International Poetry Competition in 2023. Her writing has appeared in Drawn to the Light Press, Trasna, and A New Ulster, and she was selected for Poetry Ireland's introduction series in 2024. So welcome, please, Anya Rose Connell.
Hi everyone, I'm Anya. Lovely to be here with you all today, and thank you Ger and Gerald and everyone at Crannóg for hosting such a fine evening. It's so lovely to get us all together for a bit of poetry and culture on a Friday evening. I'm going to read a poem. It's called, pardon me, If Time Could Fly, and I wrote this just about a year ago for my sister and her husband who were just about to get married. And it's lovely to think that this poem has maybe caught some resonance with everyone in Crannóg, so thank you so much. If Time Could Fly. Who else could have warmed this heart of mine? Those days we let love push our life's plans into tight bedsits, warm, balmy evenings, laughing, the odd shared cigarette. If time could fly away like a swallow and not hurry back to where it all began. There was never any rush on us. There is never any rush on love. Who else could have tested the laws of time, defied the cynic's plight, found me no longer singular but unified, tied like a ribbon to you, this gift, this husband of mine. This upright turned rugby collar turned down. A lot of our years together like bird flight. I was a wren fleeting in the multicultural bath of East London. You, that old barn owl, holding me up like the blue dim belly of Ealing twilight, never swaying from pin-pricking skyline. In less glamorous years, I plucked broccoli from the soil in southwestern Australia, the Carnaby to your cockatoo. When we headed east to Sydney, to Chinese tea gardens, it was not necessarily tea that was drunk, but cold pints in glasses, clinking together under butcher pink sunsets. We cheersed to all of this, to all our life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnny Rose. The next reader is Martina Dalton, and Martina's publication credits include the Irish Times, the Irish Independent, Poetry Ireland Review, The Stinging Fly, and Rattle. And she's also been in anthologies like the Stony Thursday book, Washing Windows 2, 3 and 4, published by Ireland House, Local Wonders, and in Romance Options, published by Daedalus Press. She has been shortlisted for the Julian Lennon Prize for Poetry. She has won third prize in the Red Line Poetry Competition and won second prize in the Waterford Poetry Prize. And in 2022, her poem Wedding Dress won Poem of the Year at the An Post Irish Book Awards. And she is a Words Ireland mentee. So would you welcome, please, Martina Dalton.
Thank you, Tony, and to all the Crannóg team. It's lovely to be here in Galway. I never need an excuse to come here, but the weather makes things extra special. This is a poem I wrote during lockdown. I live in Tramore in County Waterford, and I was lucky enough, we lived within the 2 kilometres of the sea, but even though I've lived there over 20 years, I didn't really actually know the place where I lived. But if you walk a place every day, you get to know it really well. And this poem is called Mirroring Me. Mirroring me against the sky, a curlew releases liquid shrieks of barely manageable grief. A group of sweetling birds rise up, then quickly fall like a deck of cards to a croupier's waiting hand. A stone chat finds the most unlikely branch to bear his weight. 2 young lovers who do not yet know they will settle here for life dangle their feet, look out to sea, fingers meeting briefly where the skin of sky meets earth. Now that summer's tent has packed its anchor poles, the circus ponies' prints begin to sprout as if by magic. Bright green shoots, sea lavender and samphire. Each evening, the torn places fill, are soothed by the water's silk, slow as if it's the first time coming in. Silver leaves from yesterday's storm form the basis of a nest. Along the narrow path that joins the land to sea, the midden dross presents itself. A shrew, new to death, begins to disappear where it's been dropped or left it late to feed. Each night, depending on her day, how overwhelmed she's been. Sea lays her rockweed hem. Sun-bleached crabs, matted with the feather bones of dead seabirds. She kicks it along the base of the bank, drops her seaweed clothes, heavy as wet hair.
Thank you, Martina. Thanks for that. We're back to fiction with our next reader. Excuse me. Nisha Deeney. Nisha is a graduate of English literature with creative writing from UCD, whose fiction has appeared in New World Order magazine and in Caveat Lector. So would you welcome to read the story Lewis, Nisha Deeney.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much to Crannóg for this evening. And yeah, I'll just read a bit of this story, which is called Lewis. You will bump into me, I imagine. I will drop my wallet and a family photo will fall out. You will pick it up and hand it over to me. You will take out your wallet. You will show me the family photo you keep with you. A bond will be had, owing to this shared habit. Where are you going, you'll have to ask me. As luck would have it, same direction as you. What are your plans? I will have none of my own. Come with me. Whatever you say, I have nothing else to do. I will follow you through city streets. You will lead me to a tattoo parlor. You will have your septum pierced, and afterwards we will go clubbing. On the dance floor, you will twirl and clap your hands. You will also weave your arm around like a lasso. What you will not do is get low to 50 cent, because that's what everyone does, and you are not quite like anyone else. I really enjoyed tonight. Yeah, me too. Will we meet again? We will meet whenever. Whenever will be Wednesday. I will get to know more about you. You will lead me into little shops and we will look at little ornaments. You will have the symbol of tattooed onto your bicep, and you will wear flares instead of jeans. As a joke, you will ask a stranger for directions to a hemp farm. Any hemp farm. They will frown at you. You will glance back at me and smile with cheek. I will smile too, because I am also good fun. A week in, what you must do as a means of self-expression is buy a bucket hat from a charity shop. I have never been to a charity shop before, but we will go together. You will tell me about how convenient it is before going inside, and once inside, I will experience how convenient it is. This is my first time, I might say, and to that, you have free rein over your response. A fortnight in, we will sit indoors and watch the weather. If it rains outside, we will step outside. If it rains elsewhere in the country, we will travel to the rain. And once rained upon, you will shake your wet hair and dance. You will shuffle in a puddle. I will clap, because I like you and the energy you bring. You're my kind of girl, I'll think, but you will never know these secrets. I will then become depressed for some significant reason I will refuse to talk about, because of how significant it is. I will sit on a bench by the canal or by a pier or somewhere in the vicinity of water. You will hold me and I will not hold you. I will keep my arms by my sides. I will do this because of solitary feelings. My actions will be an expression of my feelings, you see. You will massage my back or caress my hair and say, I understand, or something similar. But I will stare straight ahead and think to myself, she couldn't possibly understand. Later that night in a hotel room, I will break down and you will cuddle me. I don't deserve you, I will say, because of how considerate and compassionate you are. You won't argue with me. You will just shush me and hold. I will hold you back. A process of healing will take place, and for a time, things will be good. We will be happy together, and then you will change. I will not know why. An unspeakable misery will have entered your life, and I will be tasked with breaking through. At first, I will be very nosy. You'll have to forgive me. I am not as patient as you are. I can still be naive. But I will recognize that meddling is not what's needed. I will visit you on the porch while you sit on your swing chair, staring straight ahead. Or I'll stand by your side while you feed the birds in your dressing gown. I will hand you a cup of tea and not say a word. I will simply be there. I will hold strong until the night of your breakdown, when you will reveal all. I will be mad at those that cause your pain. I will be motivated to punch a wall. This will be an expression of my unbearable anger, you see. I will march back and forth in a rage, and this will stir you from the swing seat. You will follow me back and forth and try to calm me. I'll kill them, I'll say, or those bastards, or motherfuckers. Let it be, you will say, and I will fall down into tears. So poignant you are. We will hold each other and cry it out. We will heal and enter a new chapter. 6 months in, we will attend a wedding. We will drink, and when it is time to dance, I will stand by and watch, because I am not much of a dancer. You will dance with another man, and I will wait at the bar, quietly working on myself, reminding myself that there is nothing promiscuous about this, that dancing is just something you like to do. I will handle it very well, you will observe. When you come to the bar for a drink, you will see that I am in great humour, that there is nothing the matter with me. And while you dance, you will see me talking to other women, because conversations is how I get my kicks. You will handle it very well, I will observe. It will not offend you in the slightest, owing to our deep understanding of one another and our commitment to personal liberty. It can therefore be forgotten about. It wouldn't even be worth mentioning. On the walk back to the room, I will be enthusiastic and indifferent. You will be the same, I hope. and I'll leave it there, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nisha. It's a pity we have to cut you short in that story, because it's one story you have to read right literally to the very last sentence. You just have to go all the way. But anyway, you can do that at your leisure. Our next reader is Theodore Depp, and Theodore is the author of 8 books of poems. The most recent one is called Impossible Blackbird, published by Ireland House last year. His poem Lullaby Before Leaving was one of the 4 shortlisted for the Poem of the Year at the Irish Book Awards in 2023. He has received a Pushcart Prize, and he's been published in Crannóg previously, Poetry Ireland Review, The Stinging Fly, Ciphers, the Kenyon Review, Ploughshares, and in the Forward Book of Poems. Would you welcome, please, Theodore Depp.
Thank you, everybody at Crannóg, and it's great to be part of a gathering like this. This is a really classy sort of a way to celebrate. This is a poem called Triptych, and what I love about the triptychs of the Middle Ages or the Renaissance are how you can get heaven in one panel and hell in another, and put in so much joy here and mix things up into the same piece of art. This poem has 3 scenes related but all very different. They're all set in America. Annie and I came over here 25 years ago, but this is going back to the States, to the night when 100 people died from tornadoes in Kentucky, just after Annie and I got married. And she had to learn about her husband that he loved storms. The people hadn't died yet. But I got that honestly. My mother loved storms. She took me swimming in the edge of a hurricane, and she would sort of disappear behind these waves, and I was 9 years old. And so until I had a house and realized how much damage storms could cause, I thought they were pretty cool. This is called Triptych. 1. Is it really half a century since the sky above Davis Hollow pulsed with almost continuous lightning, drawing me out into the Kentucky night to see if a funnel cloud was forming? By morning, over 100 twisters escorted death into nearby towns whose names read like battlefields: Xenia, Brandenburg, Monticello. 2. If I were a painter, I'd render all those fatalities in one panel, then sketch in the beginning of new life in the next. A few weeks later in Davis Hollow, when lightning bugs entered through open windows and circled the bedroom, I'd borrow the golds of Gabriel's wings and Da Vinci's Annunciation and let everything glow, everything swirl. 3. And now our daughter calls from Asheville to tell us in her 50th year she's found the fountain of youth. At their gathering last night, everyone became children, catching tree frogs and pollywogs, catching lightning bugs. I still have no idea if time is a burning wheel or just a slight tip forward. But in Kate's account of that party, the tree frogs of her childhood sang all night.
you very much, Theodore. Our next reader is Catherine Duffy. Catherine's publications include the pamphlet Talking the Owl Away, that was published by Templar Poetry in 2018. And she has 2 previous collections with Daedalus Press. And her recent work has appeared in Poetry Ireland Review, The Interpreter's House, and Drawn to the Light. So would you welcome, please, Catherine Duffy.
I'm a bit vertically challenged. Is that okay? Is that, yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And a huge thanks to the editors of Crannóg and to everyone associated with Crannóg. I didn't realise actually how special an issue it is. And I travelled to Galway today by train, and there was a hen party in the carriage. And despite that, I was able to read. It's a testament to how good the work is. You know, it drew me in, and I was able to read most of the poetry on the journey. The poem I'm going to read, I don't think I need to make any preamble about it, except the geographical context. It began in Inishbofin. In island light, the room becomes a gallery, its careful squares filled with the wild performance art of gulls, a tiny ship on a faraway line. Bric-a-brac of stones and shells, loot from long, windy walks. The little green crab you found the other day, its body a casket, bearing a mark like a keyhole. Decisions, those challenging pieces, make their presence felt, brutal in their simplicity. Light a fire, lace up your boots, leave or stay. Then again, you could just linger a while here at the table with its hasty flowers, its loving old chairs. Take your place at the center, let the light fall, distance play havoc with your bones.
Thanks, Catherine. We're going to take a short break now of about 10, 15 minutes, just to give yourselves a rest. And we'll see you back here in about 12 and a half minutes. Okay?